Your perky demeanor and thorough technique are making you a first-class detective. The famous Leyendecker Museum, named after Ignaz Leyendecker, who financed the construction of the museum as a tax dodge. Ignaz made his fortune in the late 1800s by defying the banana embargo and smuggling bananas into the country disguised as miniature squash. A parked car. Note the sleek lines of this late model automobile. You see that the fundraising party will begin at 7 p.m. There is a tall, imposing gentleman guarding the door. He appears to be wearing a German military uniform.
This affair is by invitation only, Fräulein. Your papers, please. Danke, Fräulein. I'll return this pass when you are leaving. Enjoy yourselves this evening.
It's a colossal bust of the pharaoh Ramses II, discovered at the Ramesseum, his mortuary temple on the Nile's west bank opposite present-day Luxor. The complete Ramses statue stood nearly 60 feet tall and weighed more than 1,000 tons. Presumably Ramses was not this large in life, although many people have stated that Ramses had a big head. This man looks like he's very low on moral fiber in his construction. His eyes dart around the room nervously, as if he's expecting someone to jump on him. His bald head reflects the overhead lighting. Dr. Pippin Carter is a tall, dignified, middle-aged gentleman with a carefully trimmed mustache. You eye this woman with a certain amount of jealousy. Her fashionably high cheekbones, impeccably styled hair, and sultry eyes make you feel mousy and naive by comparison. This snappily dressed man looks like an accountant, but there's an air of mystery about him as well. This short, blustery man reminds you vaguely of President Roosevelt. Despite his diminutive frame, his bearing is self-assured and cocky, and his pince-nez only adds to the aura of distinguished snobbery.
Heard any good rumors lately?
Maybe, or maybe not. What's it worth to you?
Well, I don't have any money right now.
Then I ain't got no rumors for you, Toots.
The buffet tables are heaped with food, champagne, and water.
Augustini. Augustini, yeah, that name rings a bell. Oh yeah, ain't he the concierge at the plaza? Can't help yous with that, Toots. The new museum prez? Stodgy old guy, but a fine chap. Yeah, that's it, a fine chap. Good man. I'll tell ya, most of the cops around these towns stink. But O'Reilly's different. He's okay. He really knows how to treat a mouthpiece, you know? I made some good jack working for him. I know everything's not what it looks to be, but then what is? Same with all these Mocky Mucks. Look, appearances can be deceiving. Me, do I look like the brother of a famous Broadway producer? No, but I am!
Have you had any contact with the police?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. I'm sort of a freelance detective. I find things out that the police can't, then I pass along the information. For a price.
Sounds like a most valuable service.
Oh yeah, they couldn't do their jobs right without me. Nice guys, them cops. Kiss me flush. Salts of the earth.
You've met Rube Crodfaller, haven't you?
Certainly I have. Definitely one of the most up-and-up guys I know. Keeps his nose clean, but knows how to have a good time. You mean the newspaper? Not me, sister. I prefer my news straight from the horse's patootie, if you catch my drift.
No, he ain't in my privileged circle of friends and acquaintances. Laundry. Oh, you mean like washing your clothes? No, I does that myself.
You're familiar with the 12th Street docks, aren't you?
Not me, lady. Mostly your unsavory types hang out down there.
What's up with this Ziggy joker?
Hey, watch your mouth. You're talking to him. You seen it? I saw you in there before. It is what it is. Hey, I'm a philosopher.
You know, some days it's a rich melting pot, but some days it's a big cesspool. But you gotta rise to the top like scum and keep your feet and your nose clean. That's how I does it anyway. That lady's scary. I've been avoiding her.
Nice working, girl. I knew her when. Now she's a big hotshot museum, what do you call it? Back then, she was a streetwalker, if you catch my drift.
I don't think I've heard of him.
Quiet guy most of the time. Accountant, I think. Boy, I'll tell you, those Egyptians know some crummy jokes. Yeah, the dock worker. I know that guy. He ain't in my inner circle, though. Don't know much about the Joe. What makes you think I knows anything about a dame like her? She won't even have anything to do with me. I don't know anything about her. Why ask me?
That's odd. She seems to know you.
She did. What did she say? It ain't true. Listen, that old cow couldn't keep a secret if her life depended on it. I ain't taking the rap for her anyways. Now leave me alone before I calls the cops. Or somebody. Isn't that what they named us stiffs when they don't have an ID?
I'm sorry, but I simply have to say that your pronunciation is dreadful.
Hey, that's an insult, right?
How was your year, Mr. Ziggy?
Superb. Simply superb. First I mix a sawbuck on the Tunny Dempsey match. Now here I am rubbing elbow grease with a hoity-toity. Thanks for asking. I know the dagger was heisted. I might even know who done it. But I ain't talking.
If you know, why won't you go to the police?
All I got is a suspicion. I got nothing hard. Besides, what have the cops done for me lately?
This is in the interests of justice. Who are you trying to protect?
I'm trying to protect me. Now flip.
Tell me about Egyptology.
We talked about that before, remember? I told you that crazy Egyptian riddle that Ramses guys passed along.
This is quite a party. Does a museum always have a big fundraiser when they open a new exhibit, Dr. Carter?
No, but they've never had such an important exhibit opening here before. And I'm an important curator with an important salary, so the museum wouldn't have been able to keep me employed here without financial assistance.
You must be very important for the museum to go to so much trouble.
Naturally. The museum is lucky that I accepted this position as the head of their new Egyptian antiquities department. Why, my name alone will attract more visitors and more money to the museum.
Any chance that the Tutankhamun exhibit will make a stop here on its American tour?
No. I'd hate to embarrass my relative by putting his Tutankhamun artifacts on display here. They pale by comparison to my own great discoveries, such as the Dagger of Amon Ra.
Of course. How silly of me to think otherwise.
Yes, that was rather silly of you. Young lady, if you want to ask me questions for your newspaper, that's fine, but don't just stand here trying to make small talk just so you can bask in my presence. I believe he was the Emperor of Rome just after Justinian. That's me, you silly girl. If you want to arrange an in-depth interview, we'll have to schedule it later in the week. Dr. Carrington is a fine chap. Used to be in charge of the British Museum, you know. I ran into him several years ago when I visited the British Museum to consult with Dr. Butch. Seems odd that Dr. Carrington doesn't remember me, but I almost didn't recognize him either. He's getting old after all. Looks different. Memory's probably shot as well. Ah, yes. Can't say I'm too impressed with Detective O'Reilly. couldn't find a single bloody clue about the Dagger burglary, and he has the nasty habit of chewing on grapes constantly, probably to cover up the smell of the alcohol he drinks. The police station is the last refuge for the incompetents in this city. However, if you're looking for a constable, I'd suggest one of the donut shops. A crodfollow is some sort of miniature vegetable, isn't it? A potato, perhaps. It's one of those local scandal periodicals. The term yellow journalism comes to mind when I think of it, which means it's not much of a newspaper at all, really. It's more like printed chewing gum for the uneducated masses.
Now, wait a minute. The Tribune is a fine newspaper of the highest quality. I know because I happen to work there.
You've just proven my point.
Well, I never.
Maybe that's your problem.
I don't have to stand here and take this abuse.
You're right, you don't. You could just go away and make us both happy. He runs one of the local Chinese laundries. Pretends to be Chinese so he can get more business, but he has a terrible accent. People tell me Low Fats is a good place to have laundry done, but he always puts too much starch in my shirts. A relative of yours, perhaps? Rather an unfortunate name, I think. If you're referring to the local drinking establishments, they are quite illegal, and I don't condone their existence. I do drink on occasion, but only when the finest wines are available. Dr. Miklos is rather eccentric, but she is well educated. Received her training at one of the better universities in Athens, Greece. She's considered quite knowledgeable in the area of hieroglyphics, but her speciality is paleontology. She's fond of old bones. That trollop sleeps with everything that moves, and some things that don't. It's only by sheer strength of will that I've resisted her advances so far. Ah, yes. Heimlich's the security chief here. Not a particularly good one, obviously, since the dagger was stolen right from under his nose. And he's rather too intense for my tastes. Of course I know Ramses. There were several of them, actually. Ramses I was pharaoh during the 19th dynasty from 1307 to 1306 BC, but Ramses II made more of an impact on ancient Egypt. From 1290 to 1224 BC, Ramses II undertook a succession of gargantuan construction projects which left his mark in the face of Egypt for thousands of years. His mortuary site at Thebes, the Ramesseum, contains a temple to Amon-Ra, a royal palace, a mortuary temple, and several storerooms.
Actually, I was referring to Ramses Najir.
Never heard of him. With a little work, I can turn the Lion Decker into a world-class museum. But that can wait a few months until they decide to make me the president. Dr. Carrington will have to find other employment, of course, but I'm sure some lesser museum would be happy to have him on their staff. Steve Dorian. The stevedore with the ridiculous name. He's the fellow who helped unload my artifacts from the steamship. If it weren't for his odd name, I would have forgotten him entirely. That's why I arrived on the steamship Andrea Doria. I came over with the artifacts for the Egyptian exhibit. Apparently Dr. Carrington was also on that voyage from England, but I never ran into him aboard ship. Keeps to himself a lot, you know. The Countess was married to the former president of the Lion Decker Museum, Sterling Waldorf Carlton. A good chap, but uninspired. Now she has her sights set on Dr. Carrington.
Since you're new here, what do you think of New York? Isn't it exciting?
I hate it. It's crowded, it's noisy, and you Americans have no concept of how the class system is supposed to work. You go around treating each other like equals, which I find very distasteful.
Would you say this has been a good year for you, sir?
Well, let's see. I made the most important archaeological discovery of all time. Almost everyone on the planet knows my name, and I've clinched a curatorial job I've been after for years. Yes, I'd say it has been a rather good year.
Seems to me you might have a problem.
A problem? Such as?
Well, you've accomplished so much this year. What are you going to do next?
Next? What next? Don't bother me with such ludicrous questions, you silly female.
You must be very upset about the burglary.
Quite so. If I ever find out who stole my Dagger of Amon-Ra, they won't live to regret it, I can assure you.
Oh my! Do you have any idea who would do such a thing?
I have my suspicions, but I need more proof before I subject him to the full force of my wrath.
Have the police learned anything?
Those incompetents? Hardly. They couldn't even find any clues around the dagger display.
Sounds like the burglar might have been a professional.
Perhaps. It's more likely the local constable couldn't find a clue if it jumped up and bit him on the bum.
Since you're an expert on the subject, what can you tell me about Egyptology?
I don't have time to explain the intricacies of my profession to a neophyte. If you're truly interested, I'd suggest several years of difficult study on the subject at one of your better universities. Once you've finished that, you can talk to me again. No thanks, I already have a notepad. Don't bother me with such silly questions.
Bonjour, Miss Bow. Dr. Carrington told me you were covering this party for the newspaper. I'm Yvette Delacroix.
That's right, Miss Delacroix. I'm writing the social news column.
Ah, the social news. I was thinking you were here about the burglary.
The burglary? Of course not. The newspaper would never assign a female cub reporter like myself to such an important story.
Ah, you are probably being correct, Miss Bow. Miss Bow, I am not wishing to be the rude person, but I must keep mingling this evening unless you have this specific question. Monsieur Agostini, you know him? I understand he's a very powerful man at the newspaper. I would like to meet him sometime. I only read the financial section of the newspaper. The stock market, it is looking so good. I am going to buy some very soon. Ah, Monsieur Pippin, he is such a great man. And quite attractive, no? Dr. Carrington is my superior, so I'd rather not be saying the bad things about him.
What bad thing?
He is very strange, even for a man. Ah, but you are trying to trick me, no? It's best that I am not talking about him. The museum, it is such a wonderful place to work. The people, they are so friendly, and I am enjoying my work here. I intend to be the president someday. Ah, Monsieur O'Reilly, he is magnifique. He is so intelligent, so confident, so... Ooh la la.
I assume you've met him before tonight.
Oh yes, we are, how do you say, the old friends. And it never hurts to have the highly placed friend on the local police force, no?
I suppose that's true. What do you think of his burglary investigation?
People here, they keep saying Monsieur O'Reilly, his investigation of the dagger is not good, but he tries very hard. I have seen him work, but the dagger thief, he is very good, no?
He? You think the burglar was a man?
It is only the manner of speaking, Miss Bow. This burglar, she could have been the female as well. I support the police in every possible way I can. I have never been to the police station, but I know many street cops and detectives, and they are all the gentlemen to me. Ah, the godfather! I met him only once on the train. The train was the sleeper car. It was dark, and I climbed into his berth by mistake. He will always remember that meeting, I am sure. I, unfortunately, will have forgotten it in a few months. The low-fat, I know him. The little laundry I take to the cleaners, low-fat does it himself. We have the deal he enjoys, so it costs me nothing. Monsieur Low-fat, he does some of the laundry, but I do most of the lacy and delicate things myself, no? I do not believe I have met your father, Miss Bow, unless it was long ago and I have forgotten. I have met so many men, it is hard to keep track of them all. The annoying little man? I met him at this speakeasy long ago, but he is not my class of person, no. He is of the criminal type. Dr. Miklos and I, we have much of the fun together. She is very friendly. Many times we have run through the museum chasing the daisy, no? This speakeasy, it used to be the good place of the business for me, no? Then I got this job, so I don't have to do that anymore.
What kind of work did you do at the speakeasy?
I was the hostess there for a while.
With your appearance, you must have gotten a lot of tips.
I suppose you could be calling it that. I got the very big tips. You already asked me this, Miss Bow. Yes, I am Yvette Delacroix, but I am not one to be talking about myself too much, no. I am not like the great Dr. Carter, who has so many of the great stories to tell. Monsieur Heimlich, he is the intense fellow, no? Very military, very stiff and straight. I feel very safe around him, but I also feel uncomfortable. He patrols the museum so much. It is strange the dagger was stolen from under his nose, no?
Do you suspect him of stealing the dagger?
Who knows? I am not the policeman. But he seemed very upset about the burglary. Maybe too upset, no? You ask yourself. Monsieur Nagir, he is a funny little man. I see him in many strange places in the museum. But he is only the accountant for us, so I don't understand why he is here all the time.
Do you think Mr. Nagir could have stolen the dagger?
Why, because he is the Egyptian? I do not think so, Miss Bow, but I do not know him so very well. He is a man after all, and who knows how they are thinking. Ah, this Steve, he is so big and handsome, no? The dogs? Ah, there are many of the men down there and they are so big and so charming. They have been very generous to me. Ah, the Countess. She is not what she seems, no?
What do you mean?
Her last husband, he was afraid of her. He told me. Then as I learned more, I was becoming afraid of her too.
Why? She seems like a nice old lady.
It is all the act, no? She is a dangerous one. Now I think she is after Dr. Carrington's money, since I am seeing them together so often lately.
I don't understand. Why is she so dangerous?
Just be trusting me, Miss Bow. Stay away from the Countess. People die when she's around.
Oh dear.
New York, it is a rough place for the newcomer, no? So many people in the one place, it reminds me of Paris, but it is where all the money is, no? The Americans, they have so much more money than the French. It is a nice notebook, Laura. Take the good notes and you'll be the good reporter. Do not look at me too closely, Miss Bow. I found the line on my face yesterday, and I am still upset about it.
Has this been a good year for you, Miss Delacroix?
Ah yes, every year is a good year for me, Miss Bow. It is all a matter of the attitude, no?
Why, that seems like a very healthy point of view.
Merci, Miss Bow. You are very kind. It is terrible to think someone could break into this museum and steal something so valuable. Monsieur Heimlich, he is all broken up about it, although he doesn't show it.
How did Dr. Carrington react to the burglary?
Dr. Carrington is a very dignified man. There is not much you can learn from his face. He seems to have taken the burglary very well, although he was angry with Wolf about the poor security.
Do you have any idea who might have stolen the dagger?
There are many suspicious people here tonight who could have done it. The Countess, for example, or the little man Ziggy. But I have not the proof, you understand? You should ask Dr. Miklos or Dr. Smith about that.
Good evening, sir. My name is Laura Bow.
I am Ramses Najir, Miss Bow. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Miss Bow. I'm afraid I do not know Mr. Agostini. I live a very quiet life, and I do not know very many famous people. I enjoy the Tribune very much, Miss Bow. I read the financial page every morning of my life. A thousand curses on that man! He defiled the tombs of my sacred ancestors for his own personal glory. He doesn't care a fig for what's right and what's wrong. His own evil deeds will catch up with him, though. Just wait and see. I have heard a great deal about Mr. Carrington, but I do not know him very well. We have only spoken once or twice, but he seems like a cultured, charming fellow. The Leyendecker is a beautiful museum, Miss Bow, but I do not approve of the despoiling of my ancestors' tombs, much less the wanton display of their bodies and their personal effects. Crodfallers? No, thank you. I try to restrict my intake of sugar. It has a bad effect on me. To be perfectly honest, I do not care for Mr. O'Reilly. I do not think he sees the beauty in ancient Egypt. He is somewhat blunt in his approach to others as well. I suppose that is just part of his job, however. The police are useless. It is not the police who will uncover the thief of the dagger. It will be his own evil deeds turned back on him like an angry cobra. I'm afraid I do not know the gentleman. I lead a rather solitary life, just me and my little family. I personally do not use that laundry, Miss Bow. I go to an Egyptian laundry on 44th Street. They are wonderful with linens. John Bow is your father? I have never had the pleasure of meeting him. I have never been to New Orleans, you see. That much humidity does not agree with me. I do not know Ziggy very well, but he makes me uneasy. His eyes remind me of a jackal's. I met him briefly at the party, then avoided him the rest of the time. I wouldn't know, Miss Bow. I am a family man, and I do not frequent such scandalous places. Dr. Miklos is a brilliant individual, but he is certainly a little strange. Ah well, we all have our foibles, don't we, Miss Bow? Miss Yvette is a charming young lady, and so friendly. She seems genuinely interested in Egyptology. We had a long discussion about tombs one time. I find Mr. Heimlich to be most intimidating. He seems to enjoy looming over people. Why, I am Ramses Nadir, Miss Bow. I am an accountant and a proud father of 2.5. Mr. Dorian is a very healthy-looking young man. His mother must have eaten well. Oh, dear, the docks are very rough places, Miss Bow. I stay away from them. I would suggest that you do the same. Attractive young ladies like yourself are the favorite prey of the jackals who prowl there at night.
Do you like the city of New York, Mr. Najia?
Well, it is a very lucrative place for an accountant to set up shop, but the city itself is rather large and frightening. The Countess is quite a colorful lady. She seems to enjoy life to the fullest, does she not? Just between you and me, she scares me a little.
Why is that, Mr. Najia?
Well, she's just too enthusiastic for me, I suppose. I see you carry a notebook. I carry one too, in case I should think of some particularly exciting mathematical formula at an inconvenient time. How interesting. You carry a magnifier. Are your eyes poor? I am very nearsighted myself. It came from years of looking at tiny little numbers.
Mr. Najia, would you say that 1926 has been a good year for you?
Well, yes, I would have to say so. Business in America is booming, and many people need an accountant. I have not wanted for work, and my beloved wife Isis is soon to deliver our 3rd child. I suppose I am as happy as a man should be.
Congratulations on the upcoming blessed event, Mr. Najia. What are your other children's names?
Well, there's Horus and Amon, and the new baby shall be named Anubis, after the wise and just Lord of the Dead.
Oh, how lovely. But what if the child is a girl?
The name shall be Anubis either way. It is a wonderful name for either a boy or a girl.
Mr. Najia, would you have any idea who might have stolen the Dagger of Amon-Ra?
No, but whoever did should be boiled alive. He should be fed to hungry crocodiles. His guts should be strung from the pyramids. He should... Oh, excuse me. I get a little passionate on the subject.
Quite all right, Mr. Najia. I understand. Are you an Egyptologist, Mr. Najia?
No, not professionally. I have always been interested in the history of my country and made a point of studying it. I am particularly interested in ancient Egyptian religions.